The U.S. FDA is expected to announce plans soon to increase imports of baby formula as a nationwide shortage has left parents scrambling. Now, U.S. lawmakers are weighing in as they look to hold hearings with the 4 largest manufacturers. CBS News political reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns is tracking this story for us. Caitlin, good morning. Good to see you. So what do we know about these hearings? What are these lawmakers hoping to learn?
Hey, good morning. Well, as a parent of an 8-month-old who feeds her baby formula, my response as a parent but also as a journalist is finally we're having hearings on this issue. Remember, the recall that kind of spurred a lot of this happened in February, and since then, parents like myself have been scrambling to find formula alternative brands to feed their children. So this is an issue that has been going on for several weeks, if not months, and finally now Congress is addressing this issue. So the Oversight Committee says that they are going to have hearings at the end of this month, not next week, but the week after, so still at the end of this month. And basically, they have asked the 4 big manufacturing companies who control 90% of the formula market for answers to how they're going to increase supply, how they're going to bring more to market, and restock some of these shelves. This comes after, we've heard from lawmakers on Capitol Hill, and the president yesterday met with manufacturers and suppliers and retailers to see what they could do to ramp up production. Now, the administration says that they are going to try to cut as much red tape as possible to get these products back onto shelves. They say that they are going to look for ways to import formula from overseas. They're going, looking for ways to restock. But here's the key frustration for parents like myself is that, there hasn't been this accountability. There hasn't been accountability for the FDA, for Abbott, who, the manufacturer who the plant shut down in Michigan that kind of helped to spur all of this. And so those are the questions that I think people will be asking or hopefully asking on Capitol Hill on behalf of parents.
Yeah, I think, in your answer, you sort of brought up one of the major issues, which is that there's only a handful of manufacturers in this country. And I don't hear anyone talking about that at all. But, Republicans are blaming the Biden administration. Why do they think the administration is responsible? What do they want the administration to do?
Yeah, this has become a political issue in addition to an accountability issue. And Republicans are looking for ways, of course, to pin this on the administration. Now, they can go after the administration for not acting soon enough. They can go after their Democratic colleagues in the House who control the Oversight Committee for not acting soon enough. But this also kind of conveniently politically plays into their overall message of inflation and the economy and things just being harder for people to get and to pay for. And also, when you think politically, the big target in elections are suburban women, moms. This is also an issue kind of that speaks directly to them. But kind of taking the politics aside here, I do think it's really important to note that what you just mentioned about the way in which there is pretty much, just a handful of companies who are controlling the market here. And this is particularly important for low-income families. Wealthy people are those who live, in cities that have better access to different kinds of brands or can pay for subscription services. They will be okay. It's low-income families, those who depend on services like WIC, for example. I interviewed earlier this week the policy director for WIC. This is a nutrition program for low-income women and children. And what was so fascinating is that Abbott is the main supplier for over half of WIC agencies. So that means if you are on WIC, you've only been able to get your supply from an Abbott brand in a lot of cases. Now, the policy director told me that the FDA has implemented an emergency, a decision that will allow other companies to provide products through WIC. So that does give some low-income families more options. But I think that's such an important part of this story, guys, is that, we know as parents, the number one concern you have is how to feed your child, especially when they're infants and especially when they're babies and they can't have anything else. And a lot of parents depend on on a specific type of formula to feed their children because of health reasons. And so when you're looking at who this affects disproportionately, it's low income, those who live in areas where supply is low. So there are regional components of this as well. And I think that's really an underestimated part of this story.
Really important detail there, Caitlin. Let me ask you really quickly before you go on this next round of aid to Ukraine. As you know, Senator Rand Paul has objected to a deal that would quickly pass another $40 billion. What are his objections? And you know, to be fair to Senator Paul, there are a lot of Americans who are wondering, hey, we're able to get $40 billion in aid to Ukraine very quickly, but there are issues happening here at home, including this.
We can't buy any more vaccines.
We can't buy any more vaccines, or we don't have access to baby formula. What's going on? They're able, in other words, they're able to fast track money to Ukraine, but not to the American people.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a question worth asking, and I do think it's a question a lot of people have, and that's what Rand Paul is essentially saying. Now, this is a defense spending budget that's different from discretionary spending. But the objection that he has is, look, we are sending all of this aid to Ukraine. It has wide bipartisan support. This is actually an issue where you will see Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer both urging quick passage on this. So it's a bipartisan issue. He basically wants an inspector general to oversee the funding of this. And, you know, in the Senate, it only takes one senator to object to proceeding to legislation, and so he can hold this up. Now, it's likely going to get through. They'll likely figure out a way to get his support on this, and so it will be likely kicked over to next week. And this is something that already passed the House with wide bipartisan support. This is something Mitch McConnell very much wants, something Schumer very much wants. But there is a broader question here, I think, that will be posed to lawmakers over the coming months with kind of no end in sight yet for the war in Ukraine. And so there is going to be this question of how long will this funding go? How long will lawmakers be asked to renew this kind of funding? So those are bigger questions, but this is likely to pass, just not this week. And
the senator's demands that Congress designate a federal watchdog to track funds. I think that sounds like a good idea, because we're sending all this money, but we have no idea once it leaves our coffers and gets to the Ukrainians how it's being spent. And $40 billion is a lot of money, and this is on top of the billions that have already been sent.
But I think part of the challenge is that it is sort of one more step, right, when there's a war raging over there, and they're saying, we didn't need this money, you know, tomorrow. We needed it yesterday.
Right,
you know?
Yeah, there's questions as to, I know some lawmakers have brought up whether this should have been anticipated even earlier than where we are right now.
Exactly. It's critical. Everyone has made the case that it's critical. So we'll see. But still, these are the kinds of questions to watch as we're covering this over the next few months.
Well, if our viewers are interested in reading up more on this, Caitlin, including your reporting, it is one of the most popular stories right now on CBSNews.com. So I will draw your attention, our viewers' attention, to our website, CBSNews.com, where you can read up more on this. Thank you very much, Caitlin.
Thank you.